There was a moment, just before sunrise, hearing my feet pounding traffic speeding by, and not much else when I knelt down to take photos of trash on the side of Peoria Avenue. I was just south of 96th Street North. I wasn't seeing much else to take photos of. I thought, what have I done? I pitched a story, walk all 16 miles of Peoria Avenue, 1 mile at a time, photograph and write about the people I met. But here I stood on the side of the road, about 1.5 miles into my first trip, and I really had nothing to show for it. I should have done this without telling anyone, I thought. That way, if it were a failure, no one would know. I never realized that Peoria was so rural out north. I had always just considered Peoria the wealthy street in Tulsa. I finally noticed Miller's auction house. Edgar Miller, his mom, dad, and 2 siblings used to live in a room in what he calls Tulsa's oldest auction house. He was a nice man. He may have saved the whole project by showing me around his old auction house, because if all I had to show people about Peoria was old broken down buses and abandoned buildings, the project would have stopped there. Let Turley bloom, the sign says. Kay Edmondson, the clerk at the donut shop, tells me North Peoria is dying out. Everything is moving to Owasso, or back to Tulsa. Garland Cobb peddles an old bike and scraps metal. A job and a hobby for him.
Most time I get right about $10 a day. So it pays the electric bill and buys dog food and gets me a couple beers a day.
That last part makes us both laugh. At 66th Street North, Bobby Cooper stands under a cinder block building that reads Cooper Signs. It is on a triangle of land where Peoria Avenue and Owasso Avenue meet. He is surrounded by wood. Whenever the ice storm gives you a bunch of debris, you take it and make picnic tables, benches, planters, firewood, and all that stuff. My objective, he says, is to beautify this little triangle here. As this section runs in the paper, people start commenting and calling. They tell me of the grave danger I am in walking north to south. I laugh it off. But when multiple people tell you something, you wonder if you're the one that's wrong. Further south, Michael Whitener lips slowly down Peoria and stops. He waits and cautiously steps onto the street. Several cars pass. Then they begin to stop, and he slowly crosses, holding loose change and dragging his left leg. Walking is a struggle. He is going to Bill's Quick Stop to buy a cigarette. Whitener talks slowly, and his words are slurred. We have a conversation about everything I can think of, except the one question I have to ask. I was avoiding the question, but then I just say it. I see you have a cane. What happened? He tells me, speaking more clearly than he has up to this point. I started messing around with the wrong people, he said. I didn't know how serious life was. A look of disappointment washes over his face, and he says, I had to smoke something that was a little strong to be around then. Whitener tells me that he overdosed on PCP, and it paralyzed him. As I walk near 46th Street North, a voice from a car yells at me, "You're in the wrong part of town." Mark Anthony is hard to see through the car window. I wait until he starts to get out of the car, and then I introduce myself. I tell him that I've met some really nice people in North Tulsa, and that I don't agree that I'm on the wrong part of town. As we talk, he tells me he was just joking, and explains that he was treating his girlfriend, Precious Clemens, to an eyebrow waxing at Perfect Nail Salon. They let me photograph him. 2 adolescent boys walk south on Peoria, and as they approach Comanche Park Apartments, one drops to the ground. He begins to slide under a large, imposing fence that surrounds the apartment complex. He hops up when he sees a security guard and keeps walking. Victoria White stands on the other side of the fence, enjoying the weather. The fence is supposed to keep the bad people out, she tells me. Management likes to think it does. You can't get in trouble for going off property the wrong way, but sneaking back in under the fence will get you in trouble, she explains. Just south of Apache, smoke rises from behind a privacy fence. Could be a cookout or someone burning trash. Either way, it would be a good photo. I peek around the fence and see a wonderful scene. Lee Crawford pushes an old rusty plow through his garden of peas, corn, and okra. I forget about the smoke. This is my photo. Crawford is 83, wearing baggy overalls and a University of Tulsa ball cap. He has always had a garden, but has tended this one for about 7 years. I gotta eat something, I'm poor, he says, laughing. He toys with this photographer. Give me a great story, then yanking it back. It's all a joke. Because moments later, he points out several houses and lots that he owns on the block. I have to work hard to make a living, Crawford adds, laughing.
I'm 83. You live a long time, you keep your health and strength up by working. I taught that all my life. You can't do nothing sitting down and looking at something. You gotta get up and do a little something.
It's after 5 p.m., and just a few students are left at Hawthorne Elementary School, south of 36th Street North. Most sit in the cafeteria reading, playing chess, or being tutored. In the hallway, Caleb Davis marches past with second grader James Burkhalter. March, 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 Davis says. It seems serious, but then the two try to keep a straight face, concealing smiles. It's all a game. Davis is a freshman at Booker T. Washington High School and volunteers at Hawthorne.
I just want to make sure that I create a good atmosphere for the kids and make sure that they have some positive role model in their life. So that way, just to help prevent them from doing anything bad, of going under any bad influence, to make sure that they stay on the right path.
Across Peoria, R&B music plays at Soul Brothers Car Wash. Business is slow. That's pretty typical of a Tuesday. Texas approaches with one simple question. A question said forcefully, more like a statement. You're not trying to degrade us. He is shirtless, which makes the fact that he is much stronger than me very obvious. Texas works at the car wash and poses for a portrait. The look on his face is somewhere between disgust and anger. As I take pictures, all of a sudden, he erupts into laughter. This guy sure takes a lot of photos. Moving south on Peoria, I'm fascinated by the openness of people, how willing they are to be photographed and talk. I imagine if I had no camera, I could walk around and meet the same people. Agent! Samantha Drywater looks for her lost dog.
I wake up and somebody stole his entire chain and everything, and he's just gone, and I can't find him. I've drove over the neighborhoods like 4 or 5 times already today.
Tony Hill plays guitar, trying to earn a buck. People say get a job, he tells me, but I'm working right now. Hope and Brandon are homeless. Hope is 6 months pregnant. Brandon isn't the baby's biological dad, but he intends to be a father to the child. Everything changes at 6th Street. It's the resurgent Pearl District. More people are dressed trendy, and south from here, it's trendy restaurants, artists, and exercising professionals. Christy Perriman leaps into the air and grabs a pull-up bar. She works in the oil and gas industry. Her job can be stressful, so at the end of the day, instead of heading to a bar to drink or home to sit on the couch, she works out. They play the music real loud, and you get to throw weight around, and it gets all the anger out. It makes for a calm evening afterwards. She adds, everyone needs a community. This is my community. In Brookside, Lexi Mommy sits in her car. Her windows are down. Music is playing. Her shift at Shades of Brown Coffee and Art is over, and she is writing in her journal, as she does every day. She will turn 19 in a week and is reflecting on that.
My birthday's in a week, and so I guess I'm writing about ages and like how most people I know don't really feel an age, or they feel younger or older than they are.
Yeah.
And kind of like reflecting on that stuff.
Before making the walk, when I thought of Peoria, this is what I thought of. Brookside, Cherry Street, art museums, mansions. During the walk, I learned this is a small part of Peoria. Leaving the Brookside area, tucked back in the South Glen apartments, I spotted the Jimenez family having a cookout. It is family day. They do this every week. I worried they wouldn't let me intrude. Roles reversed, I would tell a photographer no. Not this family. Mary Jimenez translated for those who didn't understand English. As she explained, they all smiled and welcomed me warmly. Everyone offered me water, and they only took no for an answer when I reached into my camera bag and pulled out a bottle of Gatorade to show them that I had plenty to drink. Patriarch Jose Jimenez sits in the shade with his wife, Amelia. Mary, his daughter, explains that they came to this country from Zacatecas, Mexico, 15 years ago.
Here. We like to live here. We have a lot of opportunities here. We work, we have a house, we have food to eat.
South from there, large puddles line the street, and the road is broken, making it difficult to navigate. It has been 9 months since 2-year-old Marshall Corey was killed while crossing the street with his mother, but a roadside memorial remains. Michael Haas and Jordan Alexander are walking to Johnson Park to play basketball. They look for a place to cross, then leap over one of the puddles. It's nice. Sometimes stuff happens, Alexander says, talking of living in the area, as he points to 4 police cars and men in handcuffs nearby. He talks of recent shootings as a siren wails in the distance. One of the men is turned loose and is angry after being told to just start walking. At 67th Street, Madison Farmer leaves a nearby apartment complex on foot. Her car is broken down and she is walking to a convenience store to get something to drink. Walking south on Peoria, the grass lines the sidewalks is over 6 feet tall. She struggles to try and put her fears into words without talking bad about the area. You never hear good things about this side of Peoria. I heard more bad news than good news, she says. She skips the drink and returns home. The high grass gives way to well-manicured lawns of River Parks. Peoria dead ends into Riverside Drive. My walk is over.